Artificial intelligence has dominated the headlines in the US today. First, Elon Musk's AI chatbot on X began making anti-Semitic posts, including glowing references to Hitler. Then reports emerged that an unknown scammer had used AI to impersonate the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and even contact foreign ministers by mimicking his voice. For more on this, I'm joined by Griffith University lecturer in technology and crime, Dr. Ausma Bernot. Good to have you with us today. Now, we saw that the U.S. Secretary of State has been caught in something known as vishing. His voice was used to contact other foreign ministers via the Signal app. How could this have happened to someone who is so high up in the White House?
Absolutely. Thank you, Girish, for having me on. So as you explained, vishing is almost like phishing, but using a voice cloning technique. It's very easy in terms of technology to produce vishing messages these days. All you really need is a couple of minutes of the person's voice and the style of speaking, and you're able to then produce a voice recording that sounds like that person. And this is exactly what happened to Rubio. So voice messages were sent from an impersonator pretending to be him. And what we also know is that some text that seems to be generated with AI, Gen AI, to imitate his style of speaking and writing has also been used. So far, we don't have an attribution, which means that national security and intelligence agencies have not yet told us if it was a state actor, if it was an insider. We don't have that information just yet as we speak. But what we do know is that at least 5 targets have been affected by these vishing attacks of Rubio's impersonations, including 3 foreign ministers, 1 state governor, and 1 member of Congress as well. Now, it's a very interesting situation because we already saw Signal being misused in another case a couple of months ago where a journalist was added into a group chat as well regarding Yemen.
Yes. Do you think it's going to be easy or difficult to find out who did this?
I think we just have to wait and see. Yes. There has been a warning issued by the FBI in April. And the warning concerned exactly this: vishing messages impersonating U.S. government officials. So there has to be some attribution there. You know, at this time, we can only guess and speculate, but we'll just have to wait and see if that attribution comes forth soon enough. And
more broadly, though, is it going to be easy if this can go high up at the White House levels, very, very highly secure environment? How easy is it going to be for people to be scammed, and is it at all possible? Can we educate ourselves to be able to detect AI-generated voice messages and texts of someone who we may know quite well?
That's a great question, Girish. And indeed, this has happened not only to state officials, but it has happened to businesses, it has happened to individuals. Just because it's so easy now to impersonate somebody's voice, to impersonate somebody's appearance as well, even on video calls, these attacks are actually affecting businesses and costing millions of dollars. And individuals are also reporting increasing attacks of vishing, either via phone call or messages that they receive to their phones. Coupled with the amount of data breaches that are happening, this is really becoming quite a big problem. I don't know if you remember 10 years ago, we were learning about phishing, right? So yes, all the links that we're not supposed to click on, emails. Now what people really need to think about is a lot more different considerations. So all those naughty links that we don't want to click on, emails, vishing attacks, real life impersonations of somebody. And perhaps signs to look out for here is if somebody's trying to get money, information about a workplace, about perhaps state secrets in the case of Rubio, but for individuals as well, the urgency with which a request is being made, and also strong demands that are being made for let's say, cryptocurrency scams or other financial demands.
Do you think works are in the way to perhaps come up with an app or program to perhaps inform us that either this piece of audio or text or vision is AI generated? Is there something that's there at the moment, or is there something in the works?
AI fighting AI is going to be a big thing in the next 5 years.
Yes.
I think your guess is really good. There would be something in the works. But as you know, even with phishing messages, some of them still come through those emails. And I don't know if it's just my IT team that are really good. They also do trainings for me where, says, oh, great, you reported the correct phishing message. But there are still messages that come through. So we're expecting that technology would catch up with these new ways of scamming people, but it will take a little longer. So individuals educating themselves about the new types of scams that are popping up is also really important at the moment.
And Ausma, speaking of AI, we've seen and read some, downright anti-Semitic comments or responses to questions by Grok, and even describing itself as MechaHitler. How do you explain how and why, this chatbot responds in that manner on X?
I did unfortunately read through some of those messages. I wish I hadn't. There's been enough bad stories coming out today. But yes, so Grok is spouting some very anti-Semitic replies, and it is concerning, but perhaps not unexpected. So I really like this explanation that Dr. Joel Scanlon from the University of Tasmania uses, which is inputs, outputs, and training when it comes to generative AI tools. Let's give some context to Grok here. So when it comes to training data, for example, we know that Grok uses a lot of data from X. Now, X has seen an upsurge in anti-Semitic, Islamophobic content. eSafety actually flagged that last year in a national press conference as well. And this is the training data set that is also influencing Grok. Now, if we're considering inputs into the language model, there have to be some controls, right? So perhaps hate speech should not be let into the training model. And then the third piece is the outputs. What do we let, what kind of information or generated text do we allow to be put out there for the user? Now, in this case, Mr. Musk has said that this has been a rogue employee of XAI, which now owns X, or formerly Twitter. I know it's very confusing now.
Yes.
It is. But his argument is that the outputs were manipulated, the output filters were manipulated by a rogue employee. It's, again, up to time and those transparency measures for us to see if that was the truth.
Yes, I mean, he's used his own AI firm to delete these posts, but is that an adequate fix? And might this sort of thing, are you expecting more of these things to happen in the future, particularly on platforms like X?
I hope not, but we can't fix a flood with a stick, right? So we need a barrier, we need other stronger measures. And when it comes to regulation in Australia, for example, we know that, for example, Gen AI tools cannot create child sexual exploitation materials. Now, maybe that's something that maybe that's a conversation that we should be having around hate speech as well, and whether we want or not want that hate speech appearing through Gen AI tools that we know are being increasingly used as search engines, as perhaps tools that help folks write up their essays in a university context too. So do we really want those appearing, especially for young people these days?
Okay, Dr. Ausma Bernot, really good to get your insights and expertise into this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Girish.